You bathed your dog on Sunday, and by Wednesday, that musty corn chip smell is already back. You're scrubbing harder, buying stronger shampoo, maybe even blaming the dog bed. But here's what most owners never get told. The smell isn't coming from the outside. It's rising up from the inside, and it starts in the food bowl. What's in that kibble may be feeding the exact yeast that's turning your dog's skin oils rancid. Hi, I'm Dr. Ellie Hart. I've spent years helping worried pet parents figure out why their dog smells the way they do, and today we're going to follow that smell all the way back to where it really begins. Not just how to cover it up for a couple of days, but how to actually turn the source down. Let's start with the culprit, because once you know its name, everything else makes sense. It's a yeast called Malassezia. It lives on your dog's skin naturally, in small amounts, on every healthy dog on the planet. So this isn't something your dog caught, it's already there. The problem starts when it overgrows. When Malassezia multiplies faster than the skin can keep it in check, it feeds on the oils your dog's skin produces, and it breaks those oils down into compounds that smell. That's the musty, sometimes corn chip, sometimes almost cheesy odor you keep noticing. It's not dirt, it's a living thing, having a very good week on your dog's skin. And here's a detail that will help you find it. Yeast loves the warm, damp, tucked-away spots where air can't reach and moisture just sits. Think about the inside of the ears, the folds of the lips, the armpits, the groin, and the webbing between the toes. Those places stay humid, and they don't get much airflow, so they turn into little greenhouses. The ears are the classic one. A dog's ear canal is deep and bends like an L, so it traps warmth and moisture beautifully, which is exactly why chronic ear yeast is so common, especially in floppy-eared breeds where the flap seals the whole thing shut. The paws are the other hot spot. When a dog licks a foot, that foot stays wet, and a wet, poorly aired paw is a yeast paradise. That's why so many owners tell me the smell is strongest when they lift the ear flap, or when their dog has been licking and licking at one paw. If your dog is chewing a foot raw or shaking his head all day, and there's a heavy, sweetish smell coming off those spots, that itch and that odor are usually the same story. Yeast on the skin makes dogs itchy, and the itch drives the licking, and the licking keeps the area damp, and the damp feeds more yeast. Round and round it goes. So the smell you're chasing and the paw your dog won't leave alone are often two symptoms of one problem. I also want you to be able to tell smells apart, because owners often lump them all together and then chase the wrong fix. Yeasty skin has that musty, corn chip, slightly sour character, and it comes off the coat and the trap spots. Plain oily dog smell, that heavy sebum smell, is a little different. It's greasier and more all over. And then there's a completely separate one, a sharp, fishy, almost metallic smell that hangs around the back end. That last one is usually the anal glands, and it's not a yeast problem and it's not a food problem. So today, when I talk about smell, I mostly mean that yeasty, oily, skin and ear smell that keeps coming back after baths. Keep that in mind as we go. So here's the part that surprises people. When you bathe your dog to fight the smell, you can actually make the whole cycle spin faster. A strong shampoo strips away the skin's natural oils. Your dog's skin, sensing it suddenly dry, responds by producing even more oil to rebuild that barrier. And more oil means more food for the yeast. So you get this frustrating loop. Bath on Sunday. Oils stripped, oils rebound, yeast feast, smell back by Wednesday. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just fighting the fire from the wrong end. Let me get specific, because the how matters as much as the what. For most dogs, bathing more than once a week is too much. Once a month is plenty for a lot of healthy coats, unless your vet has put you on a medicated schedule for a real skin condition. If you're reaching for the shampoo every few days, that alone can be keeping the oil and yeast loop alive. There's also the shampoo itself. Human skin is fairly acidic, and human shampoos are formulated for that. Dog skin sits in a more neutral range, somewhere around a pH of 6 to 7. So your body wash, or the baby shampoo in the cabinet, is actually too acidic for your dog and can leave the skin irritated and off balance. Reach for a gentle, dog-specific shampoo instead. And when you do bathe, do it kindly. Keep it short. Rinse until you're sure every trace of soap is gone, because leftover residue itches, and then dry your dog thoroughly, especially in those tucked-away spots we talked about. A damp armpit or a wet ear canal after a bath is an open invitation for yeast. Dry dog, dry folds. That's the goal. Now let's go deeper, and this is the part I really want you to hold on to. There's a growing body of research on something called the gut-skin axis. In plain terms, the community of bacteria living in your dog's gut has an influence on what happens on your dog's skin. When the gut microbiome is balanced and healthy, it helps support the immune system and the balance of organisms on the skin, including keeping yeast in a reasonable place. When the gut is out of balance, that skin balance can tip too. So the food bowl isn't just about calories. It's shaping an entire ecosystem from the inside out. If that sounds abstract, let me give you something concrete. In a 2022 study, dogs who were switched onto a fresh, whole food diet showed a more diverse community of organisms on their skin within about 3 weeks. And diversity is a good thing here. I know that sounds backwards because we're taught to think of any bug on the skin as bad. But it's the opposite. Think of the skin like a crowded, healthy garden. When lots of different tenants are living there in balance, no single one gets to take over the whole plot. They compete for space and food, and they keep each other honest. When the garden thins out and gets simple, that's when one aggressive weed, in this case yeast, can spread across everything unopposed. So a better food bowl can, over a few weeks, help repopulate that garden and quietly crowd the yeast back into its corner. 3 weeks. From the inside. Just from what went in the bowl. That's the whole reason we're spending so much time on food instead of shampoo. Which brings us to the first thing you can actually do this week. Read the label. Flip the bag over and look at the first 3 ingredients, because those make up the bulk of what your dog is eating. You want to see real, named protein leading the way. Something like deboned chicken, lamb, or salmon. And here's a small but real difference. Deboned chicken is not the same as chicken byproduct meal, and a named meat is not the same as a vague mystery protein. The clearer and more specific that first ingredient is, the better a sign it usually is. Now flip that around. If the first 3 ingredients are things like cornmeal, wheat, or soy flour, that's a bag built mostly on filler. And I'd treat that as a red flag worth a second look. Some vets believe that high carbohydrate diets may support conditions where yeast tends to thrive, so it's worth being aware of how much of that bag is filler grains and starches versus real protein. Quality protein supports healthier skin overall, and healthier skin is simply more resilient. And when you do switch foods, please do it slowly. Don't dump the new bag in overnight, because a sudden change can upset your dog's stomach and you'll blame the food when it was really the speed. Take 7 to 10 days. Start with mostly old food and a little new, and shift the ratio a bit more each day until you've fully crossed over. I had an owner named Marcus who did nothing but transition his beagle onto a protein-first food this way, and 6 weeks later he told me the couch didn't smell like a tortilla chip anymore. Small change. Real difference. Second fix. And this one goes straight to that gut-skin connection we just talked about. Dog probiotics. There's solid research, including a systematic review from 2025, showing that certain probiotic strains, especially lactobacillus, can help reduce yeast and improve skin condition in dogs. A couple of the strains that keep showing up in the research are Lactobacillus rhamnosus and Lactobacillus acidophilus, so those are worth recognizing on a label. These supplements are generally very safe. A quick, important note though. Use a probiotic made for dogs, not one from your own medicine cabinet. This matters more than people think. The specific strains that help a human gut aren't necessarily the ones that colonize and help a dog's gut, and the dose in a human capsule is built for a human-sized digestive system. So a human product isn't just a smaller version of the right thing, it's a different thing. And check with your vet first if your dog has any health conditions, or if your dog is on medication, because timing can matter there too. When you introduce it, start slow. A small amount mixed into food, given consistently, so the gut has time to adjust. If you'd rather start gentle and simple, a spoonful of plain, unsweetened yogurt can be an easy option for some dogs. Just make absolutely sure it contains no xylitol, because that sweetener is toxic to dogs. Either way, give it time. Most owners start to notice a difference around 4 to 6 weeks, not 4 to 6 days. This isn't an overnight switch. It's a garden you're tending. Third fix. Omega-3 fish oil. This one is a quiet powerhouse for skin. Omega-3 fatty acids help reduce inflammation in the skin and strengthen the skin barrier itself, which means the skin is better defended against overgrowth in the first place. When the skin barrier is strong and calm, yeast has a much harder time turning it into a buffet. Let's talk about how to actually use it, because this is where owners get lost. A common starting point that vets reference is roughly 20 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per pound of body weight per day. Those are the two active omega-3s you're looking for on the label. But your dog's size, weight, and health all matter, so treat that as a starting point and let your vet fine-tune the real number for your dog rather than guessing. Always use a fish oil made for pets. You'll see liquids and capsules. Liquids can be easier to pour over food and to dose for a bigger dog, while capsules are tidy and easy to travel with, so that's really about what fits your routine. Sardine-based and salmon-based oils are both good sources. And one thing people forget, fish oil goes rancid fast once it meets air and light, so keep it sealed, keep it cool, often in the fridge, and don't hang on to an old bottle that smells sharp and off. Give this one 4 to 8 weeks. A lot of the owners I work with tell me fish oil is the change they notice in the coat first, that shine, and then the smell follows it down. You've probably seen coconut oil floating around the internet as a fix for this. I want to be honest with you here, because I don't want to just wave it away and I don't want to oversell it either. There's a real reason it caught on. Coconut oil contains something called caprylic acid, and in the lab, in a dish, caprylic acid does show antifungal activity against yeast. So the idea isn't pulled from nowhere. Somebody saw that lab result and thought, well, let's put it on the dog. But here's the honest gap, and it's a big one. A dog's living skin is a very different place from a petri dish. It has its own oils, its own moisture, its own thriving community of organisms, and a substance that kills yeast cleanly in a controlled dish can behave completely differently on a warm, oily, living animal. And right now, we simply don't have strong clinical trials showing coconut oil clears yeast on real dogs. Some pet parents try it topically and feel it helps, but that's mostly anecdotal, and anecdotes are where good ideas start, not where they finish. So if you want to try it, keep your expectations grounded, use only a tiny amount, and watch out for a greasy coat, because too much just adds more oil to skin that's already feeding yeast. And whatever you do, don't let it replace the things that actually have research behind them. And now, the part I never skip. Sometimes smell is not a food story at all. It's a medical one, and no bag of kibble is going to fix it. Let me help you tell the difference. If you're seeing red, raw, oozing hot spots, those angry wet patches your dog won't leave alone, that's not the same as dry, flaky, dandruffy skin, and it usually needs treatment. Dry and flaky can often improve with the diet and omega-3 support we've talked about. Hot, oozing, and spreading needs a vet. The ears tell a story too. and the color of the gunk inside is a genuine clue. Take a peek at any discharge. A dark, brownish, waxy, coffee ground kind of buildup with that heavy, sweet smell often points toward yeast. A yellow or greenish, more liquid discharge leans more toward a bacterial infection. And that's a different treatment with different medication. You can't tell those apart by smell alone, and you shouldn't pour anything down an ear you can't see the bottom of, because if that eardrum is compromised, the wrong product can do real harm. So either way, if there's discharge plus constant head shaking or a painful hot ear, that's a vet visit, not a home experiment. And remember that fishy back-end smell I mentioned earlier? If that's what you're chasing, this one isn't skin at all. Your dog's anal glands may be impacted, and they need to be expressed by a groomer or a vet who knows how. Food won't touch that one, and no amount of bathing will either. So the rule is simple. If the skin looks genuinely infected, thickened, or your dog is miserably itchy and can't settle, that's a trip to the vet. Food and supplements support healthy skin. They do not treat a raging infection. Please don't try to out-supplement something that needs a doctor. So here's what I'd love for you to do. Just one thing this week. Flip the bag over, read those first 3 ingredients, and if the smell's been driving you up the wall, consider one label swap. That's it. Start there, give it a few weeks, and come back and tell me in the comments what changed. I genuinely read those, and hearing that a dog stopped smelling like a corn chip after 4 weeks makes my whole day. And if you want to keep going, I've got full playlists on itchy skin and on fleas and ticks that pair really well with this one. You might also remember episode 9, where we went through some of the popular home remedies people rinse onto itchy dogs. Now that you understand the gut-skin axis and what the research actually supports, you can probably see why some of those old kitchen cabinet fixes didn't earn a spot on today's list. The list you got today is the one the science actually stands behind. If this helped you look at that food bowl a little differently, subscribe so the next dog you meet gets a healthier, better-smelling life too. And go give your dog a slow scratch behind the ears from me. They earned it just for putting up with all that shampoo. This video is for general educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional veterinary advice. Always consult your own veterinarian before changing your dog's diet or starting any supplement.